Right, everyone, welcome back to the C++ series. The last time we talked about while loops. This time we're going to talk about for loops. Remember, we said while loop, you can use them if you don't know how many times you'd like to perform an action. Mostly those loops going to be using game loops. So you want to keep on playing the character as long as the user wants to play. And then you want to stop when the user decides to stop. What if you know how many times you want to perform the iteration? Let's say I keep on multiplying numbers from 1 to n. That's n factorial, right? What do? You use another loop called a for loop. I'm just going to say for loop dot cpp. Alright. So we already explained what a loop sentinel is. It's just the condition the loop checks before it can execute again. If the condition is true, then the loop executes. If the condition is false, then the loop stops. So here we're making a for loop, and I'm going to use it to make factorials. So say this calculates the factorial of a number n. So this finds a factorial of a number n. So of course n is going to be an integer, that's the definition of factorial, right? Okay, and you're going to have another one which is factorial. But factorial is also succession of products anyways. Factorial. It's helpful to initialize this to 1 since you're going to be multiplying. Don't initialize to 0, initialize to 1 since you're going to be multiplying, right? Okay, now let's go. So we're going to ask the user cout. Maybe let's give them some background information. This program helps you find the factorial of a number. And cout, you're going to ask them, please enter a number. You can still do this with other programs, sorry, other loops like a while loop and do while loop. I'm just going to use a for loop because it's most friendly to use a for loop anyways. Alright, so enter a number. I'm going to say cin n. So the number you've entered is n, and we're going to use a for loop. So for, of course, maybe you need a counter. So I'm just going to make that there. I can make it a variable in this one. It doesn't matter. I can use it in the same line or on a different line. It's up to you. So let's say int, sorry, int I is equal to 0. You can make it. You can make a declaration in the for loop. That's also one helpful way of one helpful function of the for loop or characteristics rather. Sorry. So you can make a count of code it I. You can create anything. You can create count. Int I is equal to 0. You don't want to start at 0. You want to start at 1 because you're going to be multiplying. And then I is less than n you've entered. Okay. Now you also want to multiply with n itself. So it's going to be less or equal to n. And then I plus plus. Remember I explained what plus plus means. You're just adding. Okay. Then factorial is going to be equal to factorial times n. The n just entered. So again, this is a valid C++ statement. It doesn't work like mathematics, like we mentioned when we're doing while loops. It doesn't work like math. It assigns what's on the left side to what's on the right side. I'm getting an error there. Okay, because I've swapped the order. It's supposed to be less or equal to rather. Sorry. Okay, now that should work. Then at the end, we're just going to print out cout. So when this is done, it's going to multiply all numbers. I'm just going to say the factorial of the number is. It's just going to print out factorial. Okay, just add return 0 to the end and then see how it goes. So say g++ for loop.cpp a.exe. This program helps you find the factorial of a number. Let's try 5. Oh no, I have an error. The factorial of the number is not 3, 3, 1, whatever. So it's because we didn't give this an initial value. So you have to give it, oh no, that's right. Okay, so I've said factorial equal to 1. Okay, I don't see why that's not working. But Let's say n equals 1 also. Just save that a bit. Okay, let's run that again. Again, I don't see why it's not working. So I'll just compile it and run it. I keep on getting the same error. The factorial of the number is 3125. Okay, and let's see where we are at. So we start with n. N is 5, and it's going to start with the counter from 1 to 4, which is less than 5. Okay, just grab a calculator if I have one nearby, and I help debug that code. Okay, so I get I'm getting 3125. I don't know where that's coming from. So let's say cout factor. I can print out factor. So again, you're going to face, sometimes you're going to face errors in your C++ code. Maybe it's because of the way you typed your code. Maybe it's because of the compiler itself. Okay, and you wouldn't be so sure. So let's say for right. So what it's finding is squares of the numbers. Right, sure. Got it. Okay. Yeah, so it's not finding. I keep on multiplying the numbers by the number entered. I have to multiply by I instead of by n. Sorry for that. So here it's going to multiply 1 by 1. When I adds to 2, it's going to be 2 times 1, and that's going to work. Right, so I have g plus plus. I'm going to say for loop. Let's see cpp. Right, I just compile that. Enter number 5, the factorial of 5. Goodness, I keep on getting the same error. I thought that was fixed. I didn't save. Sorry for that. For loop the cpp, enter number, right, 5. Now that's correct. The factorial of the number is 120. 120, that's 120. Again, I think it's maybe going to be a bit cooler if you just mention the number. Cool. So you can say g plus plus for loop.cpp and enter the number. Oh, sorry. So I run the code. Enter number 4. The factorial of 4 is 24. Cool. Now I haven't saved that code. So let me save it again. I keep on forgetting to save. Sorry for that. I'll just compile it and run it. So 4, the factorial of the number 4 is 24. I left out the space between number and 4. Not necessary. Just makes the code look a bit cleaner, or the output look cleaner. Alright, and that should work nicely. So I'm going to enter 6, 720. I'm going to enter 5, that's going to be 120, and I'm going to enter 7, that's going to be 540, 5040. Okay, so that's introduction to basic for loops. Hope that's been helpful. With more time and on the next sessions, we'll see how we can make cool shapes like rectangles, triangles, and diamonds with loops, especially for loops. Okay, thanks for your time. Have a great day.